There is one brutal truth about retirement that absolutely nobody warns you about. Your employer won't tell you. Your bank won't tell you. The federal government won't tell you. And in most cases, even your CPA won't bring it up until it's already too late. And it's this: retirement does not reward the person who worked the hardest. It rewards the person who made the fewest mistakes in the final years before crossing the finish line. Think about that for a second. You can have a flawless 40-year career, 40 years of punching the clock, waking up early, sacrificing family vacations, and delaying your dreams. But if you make the wrong move in the last 12 months, in the final weeks, on the very last stack of paperwork you sign, you can make irreversible mistakes that will cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Mistakes that cannot be undone. Mistakes that will quietly siphon away your wealth for the rest of your life. That is exactly what happened to me. And it is happening right now, completely in silence, to millions of Americans retiring every single year. I'm 57 years old. I've spent the last several months speaking face-to-face with retirees, fiduciary financial advisors, elder law attorneys, and everyday people who made these exact blunders and are now living with the consequences. And across every story, I found the exact same pattern. 9 critical, repeating mistakes. 9 blind spots that hijack retirement from people who earned it, who deserved it, but simply didn't know what they didn't know. Today, I am going to expose every single one of them. But before we look at the list, we have to establish one fundamental rule. Because if you don't understand how the American retirement infrastructure is actually built, these mistakes won't make sense. The United States retirement system is not designed to automatically protect you. It is designed to give you an overwhelming menu of choices. And the difference between a choice that secures your future and a choice that bankrupts you often comes down to proprietary information that nobody is obligated to hand you voluntarily. Financial institutions, insurance corporations, human resources departments, they all use systems optimized to make you move fast. They want quick decisions with minimal friction during moments of extreme emotional transition. Think about it. The day you retire is one of the most emotionally charged days of your life. You are feeling an overwhelming mix of relief, excitement, underlying anxiety, and sheer exhaustion. And right in the middle of that emotional storm, you are handed a stack of dense legal documents and told to sign here. I signed, and I paid a massive price for it. Let's make sure you don't. The first mistake, and I place this first because it is mathematically the most expensive mistake and the easiest one to stumble into, is claiming your Social Security benefits the absolute moment you turn 62. Look, I get it. The option becomes available. The money you've been paying into the system for decades is finally sitting there on the table, and saying no feels almost impossible. Especially if your body is exhausted, your industry is changing, or the bills are mounting. But here is the massive financial reality the paperwork glosses over. For every single year you delay claiming your benefits from age 62 up until age 70, your guaranteed benefit increases by 6 to 8% per year. That is not a market projection. That is not a volatile Wall Street promise. That is a permanent, inflation-adjusted right established by federal law. Let's look at real numbers for 26. In 2026, the maximum monthly benefit if you retire at age 62 is $2,969. But if you wait until age 70, that maximum benefit skyrockets to $5,181 a month. That is an 81% mathematical difference. I talked to a man named Ernesto. He walked away from his job at 62 because his body was simply spent. He claimed his Social Security immediately and locked in $1,380 a month. Had he known how to bridge the gap and wait until his full retirement age, or later, his benefit would have been $2,460 a month. That's over $1,000 a month missing from his household. Multiplied across 25 years of retirement, Ernesto left over $250,000 on the table, money he will never see again. I am not saying everyone must wait until 70. Your health, your marital status, and your liquid savings matter. But this decision must be calculated using cold, hard math, not emotional fatigue. Before you click Activate, go directly to ssa.gov, pull your official personalized projection, and map out the exact numbers for every single age milestone. The second mistake happens at the exact moment you exit a company with a traditional defined benefit pension plan. It's choosing your payout option under pressure, without a second opinion. On your last week, Human Resources is going to sit you down and give you a choice. The two most common options are single life annuity or joint and survivor annuity. The single life option gives you the absolute maximum monthly check possible. It looks beautiful on paper. It's the biggest number. But what they don't explicitly highlight is the catch. The moment your heart stops beating, that income stream vanishes instantly. If you pass away first, your spouse gets absolutely nothing. The joint and survivor option pays a lower monthly amount, but it guarantees that if you pass away, your spouse continues to receive a check for the rest of their life. Most people instinctively click the biggest number. They want the maximum payout. And in that moment, no one sits you down to say, if you choose this and pull out of the parking lot and get into an accident, your partner is left completely destitute. I chose the maximum single life payout. I was running on 4 hours of sleep. I hadn't consulted a professional. And I was sitting across from a 30-year-old corporate representative who just wanted me to sign the form so he could clear his desk for the next meeting. That decision is 100% irreversible. There is no undo form. There is no amendment process. Demand your physical pension election documents weeks before your official final day. Take them out of the office. Sit down with an independent, fee-only financial planner, someone who charges strictly by the hour, not someone working on commissions who has a hidden incentive to steer your capital. Understand the generational impact before you put pen to ink. The third mistake is a financial blind spot that completely decimates early retirement plans, assuming your health insurance will just sort itself out. People frequently assume that corporate health insurance can be extended indefinitely, or that Medicare kicks in automatically the moment you stop working. Neither of those assumptions is true. If you retire before the age of 65, you do not qualify for Medicare. Period. You must fund private insurance completely out of pocket. For an individual in their early 60s with even minor pre-existing conditions, private health premiums in 2026 can easily run between $800 and $2,000 every single month. If you haven't budgeted an extra $24,000 a year just for medical premiums, early retirement will erode your savings before you hit 65, and if you do retire right at 65, Medicare still doesn't happen on its own. You have a strict 7-month initial enrollment period centered around your 65th birthday. If you miss that window, you don't just experience a gap in coverage, you face a permanent 10% penalty on your Part B premiums for every 12-month period you were late, and a 1% monthly lifetime penalty on Part D. That penalty follows you to the grave. Exactly 4 months before your retirement date, call 1-800-MEDICARE or visit their official site. Map out your exact enrollment window, figure out your exact Part B baseline premiums, which start at $202.90 a month in 2026, but scale based on your income, and eliminate the guesswork. The fourth mistake is leaving your hard-earned money in old corporate accounts and completely losing track of your own wealth. According to latest data from the United States Department of Labor, there are currently over 29 million abandoned or lost retirement accounts in the United States. We are talking about an astronomical $1.65 trillion just sitting dormant, completely detached from the workers who earned it. How does this happen? It's simple. The average American changes jobs several times throughout their career. You leave a job, you leave your old 401k behind because moving it requires paperwork, and you figure you'll handle it later. 10 years pass, 15 years pass. Corporate mergers happen. The plan administrator changes names, and suddenly that account is completely off your radar. Before you retire, perform a complete professional asset audit. Write down every single employer you have worked for over the past 30 years. For every job, ask yourself, did I participate in a retirement plan? What happened to that capital? Go to unclaimed.org and utilize the Department of Labor's specialized retirement savings lost and found database at retirementsearch.dol.gov, launched under the Secure 2.0 Act. People are regularly discovering $10, $20, or $50,000 they completely forgot existed. It's your money. Go claim it. The fifth mistake is a legal trap that completely tears families apart, and you won't even be alive to see it happen. Failing to update your designated beneficiaries. Here is a foundational legal rule most Americans do not understand. The beneficiary designations on your 401k, IRA, life insurance policies, and bank accounts legally override whatever is written in your last will and testament. You could hire a top-tier attorney to write a flawless will stating that 100% of your assets go directly to your children, but if the beneficiary form on your corporate 401k from 20 years ago still lists your ex-spouse because you forgot to update it after a divorce, that money goes entirely to your ex-spouse. The court does not care about your will. The account contract wins every single time. This happens every day, and it destroys generational wealth. Log into every single financial institution hosting your wealth this week. Manually check the primary and contingent beneficiaries. Ensure they reflect your exact modern wishes. If you don't have a basic estate plan, get a simple will drafted by a local estate attorney for a few $100s. It prevents years of agonizing family litigation and keeps your hard-earned money where it belongs. The sixth mistake is having no strategic plan for how you pull money out of your accounts, which causes people to pay thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes. When you enter retirement, you stop receiving a standard paycheck, and you have to start manufacturing your own income from your various accounts. Most retirees just grab cash from wherever is convenient. A few thousand from the 401k this month, some from a savings account the next, and maybe some stock liquidations later. This random approach is a financial disaster because different types of accounts are taxed in completely different ways. Withdrawals from a traditional 401k or IRA are taxed as ordinary income, your highest possible tax bracket. Withdrawals from a Roth IRA are 100% tax-free. Capital gains in a standard brokerage account enjoy significantly lower tax rates. Furthermore, if your combined income crosses specific thresholds, the IRS can tax up to 85% of your Social Security benefits. However, there is excellent news for 26. Under the current federal framework, there is a powerful additional standard deduction for seniors over 65 of up to $6,000 per person or $12,000 for married couples filing jointly. If you strategically orchestrate your withdrawals, blending taxable distributions with tax-free Roth distributions, you can keep your taxable income in a rock-bottom bracket, protect your Social Security from being taxed, and preserve your nest egg for years longer. Do not navigate this alone. Sit down with a specialized retirement tax professional before you initiate distributions. Designing a customized withdrawal sequence can easily save you thousands of dollars a year in federal taxes alone. The seventh mistake is relying on a generic, made-up retirement budget. Most people heading into retirement have an arbitrary number floating around in their head. They think, if I have 80% of my current salary, I'll be fine. Or, I can live comfortably on $4,000 a month. That generic number is an illusion. In the real world, old expenses disappear, like commuter costs and payroll taxes, but massive new expenses take their place. The corporate health insurance subsidy is gone. The travel plans you put off for 40 years are now front and center. You want to visit grandkids. Your home, which has aged alongside your career, suddenly needs a new roof or an HVAC replacement. And headline inflation continues to quietly erode your purchasing power every single month. I know a retired accountant, someone who spent 4 decades managing multi-million-dollar corporate budgets. He calculated that he could live an elite lifestyle on $4,000 a month in retirement. In his very first year, his actual expenses hit $6,300 a month. Not because he went crazy spending, but because real life has a habit of revealing hidden line items you didn't plan for. Sit down with a completely blank spreadsheet. Do not guess. Track your actual structural costs, property taxes, home insurance, medical out-of-pocket maximums, groceries, and utilities. Then, take that final number and add a strict 15% contingency buffer for the unexpected. If that total isn't fully covered by your guaranteed income streams, you still have time to pivot before making your exit. The eighth mistake is the single greatest threat to generational wealth in the United States, completely ignoring the reality of long-term care. Here is the data. 70% of Americans who reach the age of 65 will require some form of long-term care services during their remaining years, whether that's an in-home health aid, assisted living, or full-time nursing home care, and the costs are breathtaking. In 2026, the median national cost for a private room in a nursing home has surpassed $135,000 a year. Even a basic home health aid averages over $63,000 annually. The grand delusion is thinking that Medicare will cover it. Let me be unequivocally clear. Medicare covers medical treatment. It does not cover long-term personal care. Medicare will pay for your doctor, your surgery, and your short-term rehab. It will pay exactly $0 for someone to help you get out of bed, help you dress, or manage your daily living. If you don't build a firewall around this risk, a prolonged health issue can completely vaporize 40 years of diligent savings in a matter of months, leaving your spouse or children with nothing. Explore your options before you turn 60, when premiums are at their lowest. Look into modern asset-based hybrid life and long-term care insurance policies that provide a long-term care benefit if you get sick, but pay out a traditional life insurance benefit to your kids if you never need it. Ignoring this isn't a strategy, it's the most expensive gamble you can make. And that brings us to the final mistake. It is trusting that the system automatically has your best interests at heart. The corporate human resources representative handing you your exit paperwork does not work for you. They work to protect the corporation. The insurance broker cold calling you about Medicare Advantage plans does not work for you. They work to hit a sales quota. The commercial financial advisor charging you a hidden commission is a salesperson, not a legal fiduciary bound to put you first. These aren't necessarily bad people, but they operate inside systems with incentives that are completely misaligned with your long-term survival. In retirement, the only person completely obligated to protect your future is the person looking back at you in the mirror. That means you have to become your own advocate. You have to ask the uncomfortable questions. You have to refuse to sign documents until you understand every single line item. You have to actively seek out independent, fiduciary advice. I spent decades trusting the process. I signed what was put in front of me, assuming that if there was a better option or a hidden loophole, someone would look out for me. Nobody did. The gap between what I have in my accounts today and what I could have had if I had taken control of my own data is a number that is painful to admit out loud. I don't share this to make you anxious. I share this to call you to action. If you are 1, 2, or 5 years away from retirement, this is your window. This is the final opportunity to audit your path, correct your trajectory, and secure what is yours before your decisions become written in stone. 9 mistakes. Every single one of them completely preventable. Every single one of them devastatingly expensive.